Welcome to the Entrepreneurship Networking Program. Your host, Mila Jonathan Puku, and today we're talking about the importance of compliance to statutory standards for SMEs. And to help us understand this topic, we are joined by Mr. Jared Chizinga, the Acting Executive Director for Zambia Compulsory and Statutory Agency, ZCSA. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, and good evening.
Good evening, thank you.
Quickly, Mr. Jared, what is the mandate of ZCA, the Zambia Compulsory Statutory Agency?
Thank you very much. Let me start by talking briefly about the Zambia Compulsory Standards Agency. It is a statutory body under the Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry that was established by the Compulsory Standards Act number 3 of 2017.
Okay.
It's a relatively new statutory body which started operations on 1st January 2018.
Oh, okay.
Its establishment was as a result of the restructuring of the national quality institutions that was done in 2017. That is what led to the establishment of the Zambia Compulsory Standards Agency. In terms of its core business, it's enforcement of compulsory standards.
Okay.
The mandate of the agency, as stated under the Compulsory Standards Act number 3 of 2017, is to administer, maintain and ensure compliance with compulsory standards for the purpose of public safety and health, for consumer and environmental protection. So just for me to distill it a bit for our viewers out there, in short, the mandate of the agency is to enforce standards for the purpose of protecting consumers and the environment.
Okay.
You may wish to know that each product has got minimum standards that are allowable for that product to be safely and legally supplied on the market. So those minimum standards are the ones that we ensure that they are enforced for the sake of protecting consumers and the environment. So in a nutshell, that is the mandate of the agency.
Oh, perfectly said and well articulated. The second is, what are the functions or maybe the distinguished services that Zambia Statutory Compulsory Agency does? Especially, we had an issue where people were not understanding what other agencies like the Zambia Bureau of Standards are doing. They'll actually go for information that is required via Zambia Compulsory Statutory Agency, but they are going to Zambia Bureau of Standards. So maybe you can just also highlight on the services that distinguish it from Zambia Bureau of Standards, and also just some of the services functions that you do as an agency.
Thank you very much. Earlier on, I talked about the restructuring of the national quality infrastructure.
Yes.
So what this did is to restructure the functions of the Zambia Bureau of Standards.
Oh, okay.
The functions that the Zambia Compulsory Standards Agency provides are regulatory in nature.
Okay.
Enforcement of compulsory standards. Before 1st January 2018, we had a number of functions within the Zambia Bureau of Standards, but some of these functions seemed to be conflicting and were not in line with the international best practices. For example, we had a Bureau of Standards that was developing standards, but also at the same time performing regulatory functions, which is enforcement of standards.
Okay.
So we had the same institution performing these two functions. But according to international best practices, these functions are supposed to be separate. And that is what motivated the establishment of the Zambia Compulsory Standards Agency to remove the regulatory functions from the Zambia Bureau of Standards, to establish a standalone institution that will solely be responsible for enforcement of compulsory standards.
Okay.
So this function was being performed by a department of the Zambia Bureau of Standards.
Okay.
Now, since 1st January 2018, there's a standalone institution that is responsible for enforcement of compulsory standards, and that is ZCSA, a regulator. Zambia Bureau of Standards at the moment is not a regulator, but a national standards body which develops standards for use by industry on a voluntary basis.
Okay.
So that is the distinction between the Zambia Compulsory Standards Agency and the Zambia Bureau of Standards.
Okay.
Now, talking about functions, the Compulsory Standards Act number 3 of 2017 gives the agency a number of functions.
Okay.
So I will highlight some of them.
Okay.
Firstly, the core function is to administer, maintain, and ensure compliance with compulsory standards. So this is the core function of the agency, which talks about enforcement of standards for the sake of protecting consumers and the environment.
Okay.
That is function number one.
Okay.
The second function is to give pre-market approval to all high-risk commodities falling within the scope of compulsory standards.
Oh, okay.
What this means is that all standards, all products that are covered by compulsory standards, which are also called mandatory standards, are supposed to be given pre-market approval by the agency. What pre-market approval is that before it is supplied on the market, they must have a license from the agency to supply that product on the market. So that is what we call pre-market approval. So that is the second function.
Okay.
The third function is to conduct market surveillance. Market surveillance is basically an activity that you conduct by looking at the products that are already being supplied on the market,
Okay.
just to assure yourselves and also the consumers that the products that are on the market, if they are covered by compulsory standards, they continue to comply with the minimum requirements that are specified in the standards.
Oh, okay.
So we periodically conduct these activities by going to the market where products are being sold to check the products that we have already licensed, just to assure ourselves that these products have continued to comply.
Okay.
So they are not done just in Osaka, but in all parts of the country, just to ensure that our consumers are protected.
Okay.
The other function talks about educating the public on compulsory standards,
Oh.
and also providing public information on any products that do not comply with compulsory standards.
Okay.
So we use platforms like this one to provide information to members of the public so that they know what these compulsory standards are and what are the benefits of these compulsory standards.
Of course.
And if there are any products that do not comply with compulsory standards, we're able to alert consumers so that they do not consume those products. Yes.
Okay.
And then function number 4 is to cooperate with ministries, state agencies, and international organizations in enforcement of compulsory standards.
Okay.
So it is not uncommon for us to work together with other state agencies in conducting our regulatory functions of ensuring that consumers are protected. So locally here we work with regulators and other ministries and state agencies to ensure that our consumers are protected. But also we import products from other countries. So it's therefore important that we work with other regulatory agencies and
Yes.
for other sister agencies in those countries to ensure that the products that are coming into this country meet the regulatory requirements of this country.
Oh, from outside, actually.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
So I think that is also another important function.
Oh,
And
definitely.
of course, we are given a general function of just performing any other function that are connected with our mandate under the agency.
Okay.
So in a nutshell, those are the functions of the Zambia Compulsory Standards Agency.
Oh, well informative. Just to get there. So there are some other businesses. Actually, I like to part when you said about pre-market. So that you find that there's some businesses. Let's say maybe people have got this peanut butter making business, but you find that they want to go to get a certificate from Zambia Bureau of Standards, but maybe they are required to come to Zambia Compulsory Statutory Agency before they can actually be given that certificate. Is it what you actually mean? Is there some standards they have to follow before they can even be certified?
Yes, there are some standards that they have to follow. Currently, we have about 61 products that are covered by compulsory standards.
Okay.
So these products, if you are producing them, you are supplying them, they must be supplied in a way that is consistent with the compulsory standards.
Okay.
So, and approval must be given by the agency. We gave an example of peanut butter. Peanut butter is one of the products that is supposed to meet the minimum requirements that are specified in the compulsory standards.
Okay.
So our clients out there, they need to make sure that if they are producing this particular product, they need to get approval from the agency before they are supplied. They supply the product on the market.
Okay. Then what about us? We talked about products. What about services? Let's say maybe we give insurance services. do they fall under your scope, Zambia statutory compliance standard? Do you have those services other than products that are actually supposed to actually conform to some of the standards?
Well, at the moment, we don't have any service that is covered by compulsory standards.
Oh, okay.
We only have products.
Oh, okay.
But we are, of course, working with other stakeholders, including the insurance industry, to ensure that we put in place compulsory standards in those sectors as well.
No, okay. No,
Yes.
that's noted. Just a quick one, but okay. Maybe this can be general because I wanted to ask about what these compulsory standards, but I think you've actually answered much of them. Of course, there are quite a number which we cannot obviously highlight. But how do people get to access this survey? How do businesses, especially SMEs, can access these compulsory standards? You know, other than the platform, is there a platform where they can actually go and easily just get all the 61 standards and what they're about? Is there any way they can actually easily get that?
Yes, but before I come to that, let me just maybe explain how a compulsory standard is developed and how we come up with these compulsory standards.
Okay.
To start with, a compulsory standard is like a regulation, a standard, or a mandatory standard. So the Compulsory Standards Act number 3 of 2017 mandates the Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry to declare certain standards compulsory. So from the national standards that have been developed, which are many, there are certain standards that are recommended by the agency to the minister to declare them compulsory. And once these are declared compulsory, they now become enforceable by the Zambia Compulsory Standards Agency.
Okay.
So once they are declared, there is normally a statutory instrument that is issued through the government gazette. So that is one way in which our clients or stakeholders can have access to the regulations.
Okay.
They can go to the government printers and have access to these documents when a statutory instrument is issued. But that's not the only way. The agency also has a list of compulsory standards that can be accessed on the website of the agency.
Okay.
That is www.zcsa.org.zm. But also they can come to our offices. We are along Great North Road here in Lusaka at Sepalana House, just near Emersdale Police. But we also have presence in all the provincial centers. Those that are not in Lusaka can go to our offices in all provincial centers and also major border entry points. Okay. At the moment, we are present in Konde, we are present in Chirundu, we are present in Kazungula, Chanita, Mwami, and a few other border entry points where we provide services that are aimed at protecting consumers. Okay. So these offices are available. People can have access to these compulsory standards so that they are aware of which products are covered by compulsory standards. And our staff are ready to provide information that may be required, say, to producers or consumers. Specifically for SMEs, since we're talking about SMEs, I think it's important that they know the requirements that they must meet before they supply a product on the market. And if there's any support that we can provide in terms of technical support, in terms of training, I think that information is available at our offices.
Oh, great. As you can hear, viewers, that information is easily accessible on the website. It's also can actually go to their offices, and also even government printers. You can actually get a list of compulsory standards. But just to get there, you spoke about you propose some of the standards probably through the Ministry of Commerce, and I think maybe I don't know. You have to pass through maybe Parliament. Can a business or just an individual propose to say, can we introduce this and it will help manage a certain type of business in the country? Let's say myself, I go and say, okay, I'm writing something, a proposal to ZCSA. Is that possible?
Yes, it is acceptable. Like I said earlier, the draft compulsory standards are recommended by the agency to the minister. Okay. But that recommendation is based on wide consultation of various stakeholders.
Okay.
At times when we receive proposals from business associations,
Okay.
at times we receive proposals from consumers where they see that there's a risk on a particular product. We also receive proposals from research institutions, manufacturers, including SMEs themselves.
Okay.
They feel that it is important that
Yes.
a certain sector is supposed to be regulated.
Okay.
So even SMEs are welcome if they say they feel that a particular sector needs to be regulated. I think they are welcome to approach the agency and submit their proposals.
Great, perfect. We spoke about why it's important. Maybe you can just highlight some of the benefits that consumers, or maybe even SMEs, should be aware of the mandate of the ZCSA. What are some of the benefits? Maybe a few. I'm sure there are a number of them, but the most prominent ones that you've seen, if you follow the certain standards, you follow in your business, even as a consumer, you see the benefits. Can you just maybe help us with a few?
For consumers, I think it is important that they know about the mandate of the agency, because the agency is there to protect them.
Okay.
So for their own safety, they need to ensure that the product that they are using, or the product that they are buying, before they buy a product, they must be sure that that product has been approved by the agency.
Okay.
That information is readily available with the suppliers. They can ask those questions. Is this product approved by the agency?
Okay.
It's for their own safety. Because like I mentioned earlier, a compulsory standard gives minimum safety requirements.
Okay.
So it's very important for a consumer, for consumers, for their own safety. Then coming to SMEs, there are a number of reasons why they need to comply with compulsory standards. Number one, it's just the issue of legality.
Okay.
For any product to be supplied legally on the market, if it's covered by a compulsory standard, then they must ensure that they comply with the requirements of that standard. Okay. And that they have approval from the agency.
Okay.
Because if they do not have approval from the agency, then they will not be allowed to supply on the market.
Okay.
Yes. So if they have been given that authority to supply, that will give them even an opportunity to access the markets, not only locally and internationally as well. Mm. Because these regulations speak to each other. There are sometimes yes, when we sign MOUs with other countries, before this product is supplied to that particular country, they want to find out, does this product meet the requirements of standards in a particular country where it is coming from. Okay. So without them meeting the requirements of the compulsory standards, it is very difficult to grow. Okay. Because to start with, even as they sell that product on the market, they will be hiding from the agency. They will say, maybe if they find me, they will confiscate this product and things like that. Yeah. So they should be able to sell freely that product if that product is authorized. The other thing is about the reputation of the business. Yes. If you want your business to grow, you want it to have a good reputation. And one way of enhancing the reputation of a business is by ensuring that you are producing high quality products. Exactly. And safe products. Yes. And you can only produce safe products if an independent organization has determined that these products are safe. Okay. And one of those independent organizations is ZCSA. Yes, yes. So it is very important for SMEs to comply with the requirements of the compulsory standards, because it is through compliance that they will be able to grow, that they will be able to access the markets, and also they will be able to enhance the markets and be known in other places as well. Okay.
But then what is the landmark? Because do you give them certificates, or do they get something? So that customers are able to know that, okay, this has actually passed through ZCSA before they can actually go through the list of the compulsory standards. Maybe a product is out on the market. How easy is it? Like I've seen on some products, there's ZABs there. You go, oh, ZABs, which means this is there a way that people can easily see that this passed through the agency?
Yeah, for now we give licenses.
Oh,
So businesses normally display those licenses to show that the products that they are supplying have been approved by the agency.
Okay.
But going forward, we intend to come up with a regulatory mark which will be able to put on a product to show a consumer that the product is approved by the agency.
Okay. So this is very important, actually, even from these smaller shops, home shops, because you find that I've got this product because I'm just supplying to a home shop. I don't have to go through Zambia Bureau Standards or Zambia Compulsory Standard Agency because I'm just supplying in a small place. So and the shop owner just says, I'm just selling. I'm a retail person. So is that also a problem for the agency? Is it?
Yes, it is a problem. It is a problem. That's why I talked about market surveillance.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Because we need to continuously check on the market what is being sold to ensure that whatever is being sold is licensed. Yes. If it's not licensed, then it means someone is illegally supplying that product, and that cannot be allowed by the agency.
Definitely. So what programs are being implemented by the agency to ensure, like what have you actually been saying, that businesses are adhering or complying to standards, especially you said there's market surveillance. Is there any deliberate programs implemented to ensure that you're easily able to catch this information?
I think one is to provide this public information so that our SMEs are aware.
Okay.
In terms of the actual implementation of the programs, we conduct factory inspections for those that produce products subject to compulsory standards.
Okay.
So these inspections are just aimed at ensuring that the products that are being produced are continuously complying.
Exactly.
Yes, so that is for locally produced products. For imported products, we have presence in major border entry points where we conduct inspections.
Okay.
And then, of course, after inspections, there's product testing that is done to ensure that the products that are coming into the country meet the minimum requirements of this land.
Okay.
And then we also provide technical assistance to these companies that we inspect, because it's not a fight. We are working together. We are on their side. So it's important that where questions need to be asked, where guidance needs to be provided, as a regulator, we are able to provide that guidance so that we protect consumers and then we protect the businesses as well.
Okay.
Yes, and then, of course, what I mentioned earlier, market surveillance to ensure that everyone is playing the game to the same rules.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Yeah, maybe one SME producing a certain product says, okay, maybe ZC takes time to actually give me a license. So maybe are you able to give us maybe a standard period at which ZCSA would give you feedback or the license? Do you have any SLA on that one?
Our service charter says within a period of 17 days we should be able to give that license.
Okay.
But we keep improving. One of the things that we have done as part of our innovations is now to put our services on the government service bus, which is an initiative by the government to take these services closer to the people.
Okay.
So instead of coming to our offices, our clients now are able to apply for these services online. So that will cut that 17 days to a lower number.
Yes.
So we'll be able to provide these services in a shorter period than the 17 days that is specified in our service charter.
Okay, that's great. Coming to the end of the program, I would just maybe ask you maybe if you've got any closing remarks for businesses, especially the SMEs who are in the business, especially in manufacturing and textile businesses. What do you have any closing remarks?
Yes, please. I think I mentioned earlier that we are not enemies of the business. We serve the same constituents. We serve consumers. They are, to us, we consider the customers of the businesses as consumers that need our protection. But even to the businesses, they consider those as their clients. So we are both there to protect our consumers. And for them to sustain their businesses, they must make sure that they satisfy these consumers or their clients. And this can only be done if they are producing high quality products. So they must feel free to approach our officers or offices wherever they may be, whether it is in provincial centers, here in Lusaka, or at border entry points, to get as much information as possible. Some of the things that happen on the market is because probably this SME does not have information on what is supposed to happen. So they are welcome to visit our offices, they are welcome to visit our website for us to provide as much information as possible. And we'll also be available to appear on platforms like this one, and we appreciate the platform that has been given to us to just make sure that we give out as much information as possible to SMEs, so that together we can build this economy through these SMEs that are also providing employment to our people, but also putting Zambia on the world map by producing products that are of good quality.
Perfectly. You've heard, viewers, it's very important, even when you're doing business, especially when it comes to even manufacturing businesses, you've got a product that you're selling on the market. It's very important that you follow the standards and what you need to know to ensure that even the consumers are getting something that is safe to use. So it's very important that you actually go to ZCS offices, you can go to their website, and many other branches that they put their circulation of information. So I really encourage all viewers and businesses to actually take up this, and you'll be handling your business with a peace of mind. So I just want to thank you, Mr. Chizinga, for having accorded us this time and your presence. We've actually been blessed with this information, and I hope to see you again on this program.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, viewers, and see you next time. See us on Monday and for another exciting program. Thank you.